The first time I realized something was off, I was in the middle of a video call with a billion-dollar client, pitching a cybersecurity package. Halfway through, the screen froze, not a minor glitch, but the kind that twists your gut. There I was, mid-sentence, frozen like a deer in headlights, while my client, understandably unimpressed, dropped out after the third disruption. That wasn't just a failed pitch. It was a do-law 50,000 contract slipping through my fingers because my internet decided to clock out during a deal I'd spent months securing. Furious, I stormed into the leave-wying room, router in hand, muttering every tech curse I knew. When I glanced at my download monitor, it was spiking like a cardiac arrest chart. Something or someone was draining my bandwidth dry. Digging deeper, I found multiple unfamiliar devices hooked onto my network, all tracing back to one source: my roof. My own roof. Standing there, I muttered, "What in the blazing hell is happening up there?" I live in a pristine HOA neighborhood too neat for its own good, where people flash fake smiles while secretly drafting complaints. I knew the type: clipboard crusaders, passive-aggressive note writers, and that one lady who thinks her begonias are a status symbol. But even in this ruler-obsessed suburb, I wasn't ready for what I discovered. Climbing up, I found not one, but 3 hefty Wi-Fi repeaters bolted to my roof tiles, humming and blinking like smug little thieves, siphoning my high-speed internet. I nearly toppled off the ladder. At first, I wondered if it was some utility project, a city initiative, or community upgrade, but no one had notified me. No permission, no heads-up, not even a tacky flyer. Just rogue tech squatting on my property like it belonged there. I snapped photos, recorded video, and marched straight to the HOA office, ready to unleash a tirade worthy of a reality TV meltdown. There sat Linda Hargrove, the HOA's self-appointed dictator, perched behind her desk like a judge in a pastel blazer, a bowl of stale mince beside her. Before I could get a word out, she flashed a smug grin and said, "Oh, Mr. James, we've been meaning to tell you about our new neighborhood connective Wi-Fi program. We've placed Wi-Fi boosters on select rooftops, and yours is a key hub." She said select, like I'd won a prize. I demanded to know when I'd signed up for this, because last I checked, my roof wasn't public property. Cool as ice, Linda slid a flimsy notice across the desk dated 3 months ago, never mailed, supposedly posted on a bulletin board I later found hidden behind the HOA building next to a dumpster. She claimed my silence was consent. When I called her logic absurd and borderline illegal, she chuckled. "Oh, James, you're such a tech whiz, you'll manage." That's when I knew 2 things. Linda had no clue what I did for a leave-wying, and she just made an enemy she couldn't handle. See, I'm not just some neighborhood geek. I used to design classified network security systems for government contractors. Now, I consult for companies that pay more for a firewall than Linda's annual salary. I track digital breaches for kicks hackers halfway across the globe. Don't scare me. And this woman thought she could hijack my network like it was a free-for-all? I left her office without a word, not because I was defeated, but because I was plotting. First, I ran diagnostics. I traced every MAC address, mapped bandwidth usage, and built a report. The results? Jaw-dropping. Over a dozen households were leeching my signal, streaming, gaming, even crypto mining. The eastern half of the neighborhood was basically using my house as their data hub. Worse, the repeaters were wired into my power line, stealing electricity too. I stared at the numbers, then out at the sunny suburb, and laughed a wild, unhinged cackle. They thought I'd just unplug it and sulk? Oh, no. They'd pay literally. I fired up my laptop and crafted a masterpiece, a fake splash page mimicking a provider update. It popped up when anyone connected to the repeaters, complete with a legit-looking logo, Skynet boost, and a buried clause. Users agreed to pay 27 cents per megabyte after 50 megabytes daily. I tracked every byte they used. Within 24 hours, 10 people had clicked agree. I had names, IPs, and digital signatures. Then I sent invoices from my shell company, Netcore Solutions, small enough to sting, big enough to notice. I even billed the HOA treasurer, Walter Grimes, DULA 186.42. He paid without blinking. Linda got one for DULA 212.99 and stormed the HOA office, raging at a provider she thought they'd hired. I watched it unfold via a hidden repeater can her of wind the bill like a lunatic, Walter muttering excuses. It was pure gold. But the HOA fought back with their usual weapon, paper. 3 citations hit my door: unauthorized rooftop gear, faulty wiring, and public endangerment via unstable antennas. Hilarious, since they installed them. It only fueled me. I dug into their bylaws, vague, outdated nonsense from the dial-up era. Then fate dropped a gift. Mrs. Eleanor Tate, a quiet retiree 2 doors down, knocked one evening with lemonade and a bombshell. I saw what they did to your roof. They tried it with mine years ago. They didn't know I worked for the FCC, a retired compliance officer with 30 years auditing illegal tech. I nearly choked. Eleanor and I teamed up, poring over logs and specs like tech vigilantes. We found the repeaters weren't just stealing bandwidth, they were spliced into my electrical grid, racking up my bill. So, I unleashed chaos, a script that reset the repeaters every 6 minutes, dropping signals and playing a robotic "contact your provider" message. The neighborhood lost it, kids raged at game lags, parents cursed buffering TVs. Linda called it a cyber attack, clueless I was the culprit. She held an emergency meeting, which I hijacked via the repeaters, streaming it to a private group of fed-up residents. Linda ranted about digital terrorism, Walter fretted over costs. The leak spread like wildfire, 50 viewers in an hour, sharing their own HOA horror stories. The next day, residents cornered Linda with questions she couldn't answer. She fired back with more fines, defamation, privacy breaches, until I hit her with a cease and desist from a lawyer pal, co-signed by Eleanor and a retired judge neighbor. Silence followed. Then Walter cracked, uncovering shady invoices Linda had approved, including mine. He quit, the board faltered, and Linda's reign crumbled. With Eleanor's help, I forced an HOA audit, exposing years of mismanagement. Meanwhile, I turned the repeaters into a prank, broadcasting Linda stole Wi-Fi and a page blaming the HOA. Residents loved it. I offered a legit alternative. I'd manage the network for a fair fee. Have signed up in days. Linda tried to block it, but Netcore was now legal. I was untouchable. The press caught wind, local news, then bigger outlets. At an open meeting, Eleanor ousted Linda as president, taking over to reform the HOA. I removed the repeaters, filming the dramatic takedown for the neighborhood to cheer. Linda moved out soon after. Her house sold to an IT prof and his gamer daughter, perfect neighbors. A mystery package later brought a mini router trophy, Bandwidth King. I'd won, not with noise, but with smarts, turning a petty theft into a suburban uprising. Sometimes, revenge is just a steady signal and a well-placed reboot.